Hello again.
Yeah.
Good evening, good morning.
Those are the correct glasses.
Do you have dummy glasses around just to frustrate you sometimes?
No, I'm not that hipster. I have the computer glasses and then the everyday progressives.
Hmm. Long meeting notes for this morning's meeting.
Hey, that means I was doing my job. Now, do they make sense though?
They make at least as much sense as any other meeting notes would. I'll give you
Awesome. I'll take it.
that.
I'll pull them up. Da-da. All right. We are tomorrow. So I saw, Anurag, that you thumbs up the switch to Tuesday, from Wednesday to Tuesday for the special topic meeting. So I went ahead and moved that.
I might be more likely to stay up for that since I do have video gaming with friends on Monday nights. So,
Ooh.
So it moved to Monday, the late one.
Monday night, our time.
Wonder what it takes to get my calendar updated.
Yeah, mine didn't update surprisingly.
Really?
Wonder.
Always a problem.
And maybe this it's set up to Pacific time correctly, but maybe I did that.
yeah, my calendar got updated.
Actually, yeah. Now I have two calendar entries. What's going on? Okay. Never mind.
Yeah, the syncing never works for me. So I gave up on that. All right, so 140 target a week from tomorrow. And so I think the only open question, well, there were two open questions. One is the parameter annotation stuff from Halo 4. I really need to remember real names.
I think his name's Justin.
Oh yeah, this is not going to help me.
Some very strangely colored bacon is what you get on that page.
So the agent support is ready. Mateusz was just asking for a second reviewer, so I volunteered to review by Monday so that we'll know basically if it's good, we'll pull it in, and then we'll keep the annotations in the SDK. Otherwise, if we really think it's a ways off, which I doubt it, then we could pull the annotations from the SDK. And then the other one is for you.
I mean, I mostly wrote the PR history to add to contrib, and then realized contrib needs to be 1.3, or 1. Something more than 1.0, and so sent the PR for that, which took much longer than it was supposed to because of Spock, and I hate Spock, as everyone knows. But eventually, was able to knock that out. It was just completely hiding assertion failures for me because it retried and then failed during test container startup. That took an hour to find out.
Oh, fun times.
Yeah, but now that this is in stuff, the next thing I'm gonna do today is to merge master and send out my PR. I think I
Cool.
have to copy in the rate limiter and some of the encoding stuff. And one other thing, right? What did we talk about yesterday? Or was it the rate limiter?
It was the HTTP client.
Yeah, that one. So that was actually AWS specific. That's why I felt even sadder. But I don't care too much.
What is
Most
that?
apps-
What is that being used to like fetch some sort of configuration in the resource detectors?
Yep.
Yeah.
The EC2 metadata.
Right.
So, I mean, most apps have 30 copies of Guava in their class path. Shaded versions of Guava, so I'm not too sad about this. Just somewhat sad.
It almost feels like
Yeah.
we need some sort of we need to create a new utilities project that has like this kind of generally useful stuff. The clock could go in there, for example. There's all sorts of good stuff that could end up in the generally useful open telemetry utilities bucket.
Well,
I don't know where that would live
mean,
though.
yeah, we could do it, then we support it, right? That's the only reason we don't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Clock, I mean, Clock, I'll probably send a PR today also. Clock is fine. We just move those implementations and expose them.
Yeah. I don't mean, as I said, I don't mind having the system clock be
Yeah.
publicly accessible.
Yeah.
I mean, I realized, I mean, so in my Android project, I just grabbed the internal methods and
Mhm.
used them.
Yeah. My contrib PR is going to still use the internal package for system.
And I figured if
Yeah.
for some reason we may ended up making that stuff not accessible at all, even internally, the clock isn't that many lines of code. So
Yeah.
it would be pretty easy to pull it over.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So what are the things that you're moving over, Anurag?
Not moving. These ones are the copying. That's why it's a bit sad. Moving is the ID
Ah,
generator and sampler, and the support classes that are shared now between both repos that are supposed to be not public are these two classes.
Oh, because these are internal
Mhm.
package protected.
But,
Where do they live? What is the HTTP client? Oh, these are part of the AWS
Re-
extension.
So the HTTP client, yeah, so HTTP client is used for resource fetching. And so it's part of the AWS extension. The rate limiter is not package protected. That one's actually internal, and that's used by Jaeger remote sampler also.
Yeah, that HTTP client is basically just a much better API on top of HTTP URL connection. The one that was not designed by somebody in 1995.
It's probably the 100th of these wrappers for HTTP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Well, we will never drop Java 8. I was gonna say there's a HTTP better version just around the corner.
Right.
If we could
Yeah,
ever
Yeah,
get-
that's
John
what I was-
pointed that out too.
That's
Yeah.
what I was telling Anurag yesterday. I'm like, Java 11. But no.
Is the contrib for also starting in Java 8? And yep.
I mean, we could make a multi-release jar that had the Java 11 OK HTTP client in it if we really wanted to. I mean, not
Yeah.
OK, the regular HTTP client.
That-
That sounds like a lot of
And
work.
did-
the whole point is
for-
to have
for
it small.
yeah, no benefit.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole
I-
point of using this is
Yeah.
Java
Like
small.
the HTTP URL connection, did you know like it's implemented with HTTP client in Java 11 up? If you've
Oh,
ever
yeah.
seen this, if you've ever seen the stack traces. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. It doesn't, I'm sure they disable the like I doubt it supports HTTP2. That'd be the one difference in features. Otherwise it's probably the same stuff.
With the same terrible API.
With the same Terra API, but presumably break
I still love that you have to cast to HTTP URL connection to do anything useful at all. Yeah. Well, I don't think I could have done better in 1995 while I was still in grad school. So
Yes, I'm gonna get these the PR out today, pretty sure, unless I run into another blocker for some reason, but I'm not expecting.
yeah, I didn't think this was going to end up being a blocker. I just wanted to call it
Mhm.
out. Yep.
Jason, are you here?
I'm here. I'm also stuffing my face, so that's why I had the camera off.
Is this
Cool.
Splunk is starting some work or Jason starting some work?
Yeah,
Or
we're
Nikita's volunteering Jason to start some work.
I mean, I did see that call out on that issue from Trask. He's like, handmade issue, like ready-made benchmarking issue, Jason, here you go. No, so this is kind of involved in the main reason that Iguanodon has not been contributed just like straight up yet, because that was on the plan. We talked about it like, I don't know, 2 months ago or something. So there's this like increased interest in getting some sort of, I don't know, like regression is kind of built in, but it's mostly like overhead testing. It's like overhead benchmarking. Due in large part because customers always, come with the statement that the agent introduces overhead, and I'm like, yeah, that's what it does. It has to, right? So being able to quantify that, or at least having a baseline understanding of what it looks like for a representative or a sample application, I think is useful, because it at least gets the dialogue rolling. And so we're figuring out exactly what we want to do. Right now, the thought is to put it into Contrib. That's my thought. I'm curious what you all think. I think Contrib is a good spot for it. And the idea is that it would like run nightly, and it would eat multiple configurations, of which I think to start, there's probably like 1 or 2. It's like run with the agent and no agent. Like that's a no-brainer. We have to do that. And then possibly run with release and snapshot for comparisons, right? So, latest snapshot versus latest stable release. Those are the initial configs I'm thinking. And then to start, I have this UI stuff in Iguanodon, and it's great, but none of us are really JavaScript programmers or React programmers. And so the initial thought is just to publish the data, just have the CSVs out there, and then allow the next phase to sort of figure out UI.
I mean, because it's not material UI or something doesn't mean we can't publish the graphs, right?
Sorry, say again.
Yeah, just because it's not the latest, greatest, whatever, doesn't mean we can't publish the graphs also, right?
No, it's true. Yeah. In terms of like reviewing lines of code, though, I think dumping all at once would be much more painful than maybe trying to phase that in gently. So
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah. How do you all feel about using Contrib for this?
Why? Why not I didn't know, like I tend to well, I think I know why you hate mono repo. You hate the mono repo, but my feeling is keeping it, keeping it close to the code that it's testing is beneficial also.
Yeah, I think that's what we ended up where we ended up last time as well.
In this case, since it wouldn't be part of our normal stuff, like we don't expect it to slow down the build or anything, so it doesn't seem to be real negatives.
Yeah, I guess my leaning toward contrib is it's probably exactly what Trask, like, you know me well enough by now to know my feelings on mono repos, and that's why it lives in its own repo right now. But yeah, I don't.
Instrument. Yeah, because then it doesn't have to be snapshot, right? Like it can be part of the build. That's and
It
then
could,
we can
and
publish.
yeah, and it could
as part
run
of the
like
build.
right after. Yeah,
Yeah.
those could be coupled. That's pretty interesting.
I think I would want to run it from the build, regardless of where the code is. So it's whether we're running the code that's in contrib but somehow published in a way we can consume it in our build, or we just run it directly from our repo. Those are scenarios. Yeah.
Okay. I will go back to the team with this idea because I'm not opposed to it. I mean, the repo is very big right now, and adding stuff to it. Another consideration though is also this use of the GH Pages branch to have any sort of UI and results. I don't think we're using that for anything right now. So are we opposed to having? It's probably linked a little bit deeper, but are we opposed to having any sort of GH Pages on the repo?
As like the code as publishing the reports over there.
Yeah, and so it's that it's somewhat interactive right now, but yeah, it would be the reports.
Yeah, I don't have any objection.
Cool. Okay. Well, it sounds like you all are happy with exactly the same stuff we talked about 2 months ago, and I'm sorry it's taking forever.
No worries. Just happy that that it has somebody's name attached to it. That's way better than the alternative.
Yeah, that's fair. There's also that effort that's being done by the intern doing the open telemetry to open tracing comparison.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much this falls under that umbrella because I personally don't have any stake in the open tracing game. And making sure that the tooling supports that is not high on my priority. Like I don't need the benchmark to be able to support open tracing.
No. That project is fairly well scoped to specific instrumentations and less end-to-end testing and more like a little bit more true micro benchmarking.
Okay, that's good. Okay,
not designed to be. I think they're pretty separate.
Cool. That's good to know. Yep. Nice. Yeah, well, I missed the beginning of this conversation, but I mean, Nikita on the Splunk side is definitely involved in this, like kind of staking out this effort. So I'm glad he brought it up. And yeah, cool.
Nice.
I'm going to go back to eating. I'm going to go into stealth mode again.
All right. I'll make John talk now. Metrics.
Oh, I have to repeat everything Josh said.
Maybe I'll absorb it the second time through.
So Josh is, we all know, working on rewriting metrics to conform to new APIs and SDK, some of it prototype spec. So the conversion of the the API to use attributes instead of labels, that got merged. That was 3352. 3353 introduces exemplars into the SDK's data model. and maps it to both Prometheus and OTLP. And I have gone over that and it looks fine for the most part. Josh really wanted somebody who knows Prometheus well to review the Prometheus mapping because he thinks that what he's got is correct, but he needed somebody who is an expert, and that's certainly not me.
Did you find anybody on the metrics meeting?
The metrics meeting went off into the deep end, and there was not even the tiniest bit of chance to ask about that. It was almost entirely eaten up by a
Histogram.
discussion of histograms. Yes.
Ah, yes. I've been following that issue.
Yeah. So
I've been
it was
following
fascinating.
with popcorn.
Yeah, well, the popcorn. Yeah, I needed some popcorn at lunchtime. The fascinating thing I thought, and I don't think Splunk has much of a cat in this fight at the moment, but apparently there was some meeting of the minds of vendors around metrics, around the open metrics, and whether open metrics should be a standard. And apparently every vendor, every APM vendor that accepts metrics said, no, we don't want that. We don't want to use that. We want to use something simple with a binary, something histogram. Which was interesting because all of the open telemetry metrics SIG members really think we should just go with open histogram and like the fact that it's kind of standard and one size fits all.
Oh, you said open metrics. Did you mean open histogram?
I meant open histogram, yes.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry, I meant open histogram. Something open, something open, something else.
Open
Yeah, open
metrics
histogram. Yeah.
is the Prometheus data model.
Open histogram has nothing to do
Oh,
with
no,
anybody.
No,
It's
open metrics.
open metrics is the Prometheus data model.
Okay,
Yes.
got it.
Open
got it.
histogram is this thing from this company called Circonus, which has written a whole bunch of papers and stuff, and it provides some sort of metrics, something. I don't know. Anyway,
And that's the one that is the log linear thing.
I don't remember if it's log linear or not.
Okay, with the larger data set. Okay.
It's basically what Circonus would like everyone to kind of. Circonus has come in and said the hardest part with getting people to use histograms is that nobody knows how to configure them, and everyone configures them differently, and two people in the same company will configure them differently, and then there's no way to merge them, and it's a big mess. So basically their philosophy is we've developed this new thing. I don't remember it's now open histogram. I don't remember what they called it before, but this new open histogram structure that essentially can be one size fits all. It scales from very small to very large. It basically will work for almost anything. It has a very large number of buckets, but you can store it very efficiently, blah, 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 blah. I don't know. Anyway, I don't know this stuff. I just kind of try to absorb what I can learn. Anyway, but they think this is kind of the one size fits all. It requires zero configuration. You just turn it on and it works. And they think, and at least especially having been a vendor of histograms, essentially, they think this has worked out great because the customers don't have to configure anything. There's no support. Like you just turn it on, they know how to ingest it and deal with it and display it, and it works great. And nobody needs to configure anything ever. But I guess all the other vendors said, no, we don't like this. And I have no idea why. But anyway.
Well, I think the other people like my experience was with the header histogram, HCR histogram. So it was actually very intrigued me when Gil Tamier, your team, joined the conversation. And that's just a pure exponential.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I don't know, there's the DD sketch and then Dyna histogram.
And apparently there's a new UDD sketch, which is some academics have gone and made DD sketch something more compact, or I don't know, something like that. Anyway.
Interesting.
Yeah, seems like it's interestingly the most controversial, aside from the open metrics stuff. which I think was also pretty controversial. But this has definitely been the most controversial, like vendor colliding with technical committee thing that I've seen in OpenTelemetry so far.
More than Prometheus.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Along with the open histogram thing, I mean open metrics thing. Excuse me. But this one is even more contentious. I think everyone pretty much got on board that we need to support Prometheus in some, like, as a first class citizen, because it is the most common open not really a standard, but open metrics platform. So I think that one was less controversial. It made us take a big break and figure out how to do that, but I don't think there were that many people who thought it was the wrong thing. This one, it's like nobody agrees with anybody on what we should do for histograms. So
And I feel as if there's no metrics to making decision on this, so this is just going to continue forever. That's all I can
Yeah.
imagine from this issue. Like, how can you pick?
my guess is that the TC will just have to make a decision at some point, and
Yeah.
the project
Flip a
will
coin. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So
It's amazing to me how many people know so much about histograms.
yeah, well,
Like, I mean, I kind of get it, because like if you didn't have, like, when I needed a histogram, I went and I was like, okay, there's this HDR histogram. It's written by somebody who I truly trust. And it was like, okay, throw it in, move on 5 minutes later. Don't really worry about all the micro details. But like, I can see how, Dynatrace has been in business for so long, that, clearly they had to do all of that from scratch across lots of different languages. And so
Yeah,
somebody
like,
spent a lot of
and-
time thinking about it.
and like Yuki from New Relic, I know he's mostly responsible for kind of the on disk format for the metrics representation at New Relic. And so he had already kind of designed an on disk format. And so he's also got a little bit of I don't want to have to change the on disk format for all of New Relic's metrics if we've already got it in place. So I'm pretty sure that there's a little bit of that kind of coloring his gigantic treatise that he wrote.
Oh, I missed which.
So it's Yuki. I don't remember what his handle is. Yuki Zhuge is his name. I think that's roughly how you pronounce it.
Referendum.
Yeah, the YZ is that's Yuki.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
So he
yeah.
wrote a
Yeah.
huge treatise.
No, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I don't think
I did read all of this stuff. I really
Oh, no.
was
Okay, I remember. Yeah, I remember the dollar die there.
semi intriguing, though I don't really, though I absolutely don't care. Well, yeah.
This is one of those things where I am really glad there are people who know a lot of stuff about this in a lot of detail.
Yep, and I'm
And
happy to just let them tell me what to
Yeah.
do, and I'll do it. I'm not gonna.
I have kind of like the mechanic for my car, right? Like I don't want to know how it works. I don't want to do it. I have a rough idea of how a car works. I mean, I have a pretty good idea how a car works, but I want the mechanic to deal with fixing it. Same thing with histograms. I'm like, I'm glad somebody cares enough. So anyway, it was a little bit of a side note. And then we talked a little bit about if there's any ways that we could split up PR 3333 in a way that make it more consumable. I was suggesting that the instrument renames might be the next good part in the API, and Josh was very resistant because he said it was going to break everything. I don't really exactly understand why. Although it sounded like a lot of it had to do with attributes in the SDK, maybe, but also there's a whole bunch, like all of the SDK is really interwoven and tangled up with each other in the model. And so he's going to try to kind of tease that apart and make it a little bit more componenty, I guess. Um,
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's possible to have as much breaking stuff as possible in one release versus two releases, that's a nice thing. I don't know.
yeah, and he hasn't touched the
Yeah.
API yet.
Yeah.
So far we haven't broken anybody. Allegedly. I mean, I don't know.
Was it really 13,000 lines? Oh, 13.
Well, it depends on how you count. It could be 18, it could be 19,000, depending on how you count. It's a lot of
Oh,
it's a lot of lines.
I feel as if every release I've been doing something related to, like I have to update tests, I think, because the SDK changes. Maybe not the code, but I think the code is still have to update tests usually, and that's where it has been pretty annoying anyways. It's fine, but like I sort of wish we could combine them all into one release if it's possible. It probably isn't. It's just too much stuff.
Well, I mean, I think that it's going to take another 3 or 4
Yeah.
months before the SDK specification is
Yeah,
solid
that's fine.
enough. So
Yeah.
We should have done what you suggested like 6 months, more than
Oh,
that,
delete
10
metrics.
months
Yeah.
ago.
or just
Yeah.
start from scratch and build a new SDK and then switch over after it's done. Yeah.
No. In the thing where we suffer is we have the open telemetry metrics bridge in the instrumentation.
Oh, right.
And so every time the metrics changes either the API and or even the SDK because we have tests, then
Yeah.
Got it.
And also like the Oshi tests basically fail every release now. And so it's like I just wish there were no metrics at all in our repo, but oh well, people want that, so I guess we live with it. Yeah, it compounded because like the thing I did yesterday was the JMS metric stuff in the contrib repo. So it's like,
Oh yeah, I saw that. I felt for you when I saw that. Yeah.
my life is just fixing breaking metrics
Upgrading
Yeah.
open telemetry versions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Put that on your resume.
Yeah.
World's top.
Level 9 open telemetry upgrader.
Yeah. Well, hopefully tracing's been stable for the past 3 or 4 releases.
Tracing has been nice.
Well, we didn't promise that it was going to be the metrics were going to be stable. So
Nope.
Well, that's okay. We're breaking stuff left and right in the instrumentation APIs as well, and that's driving Nikita nuts.
Yeah. So anyway, Josh is going to continue crunching on it. Now that Jakub, or Kuba as he goes by, now that Kuba is is an approver, I'm trying to get him sicked on some metrics PRs, and he'll start digging in.
Do you know if the metrics SDK has some compatibility requirements with the collector? Like, does our 1.3 only support X versions of the collector?
Well, that I have no idea.
Okay, because
No
clue. I updated the AWS distro and there were no, again, the API didn't change, so the PR build was fine. And then our integration test on main failed because the labels stopped getting filled in on the stuff sent to CloudWatch. This is integration test, so whatever was in CloudWatch. And so I'm guessing it's because of an incompatibility in SDK collector. Which would,
I mean, I would think that if the OTLP version hasn't changed, that it should work, but I don't really.
so,
I don't
so
follow.
the OTLP changed with 1.3, right?
Yeah,
That's
there
where
was
the attributes.
Yeah.
Labels were replaced with attributes. So I think that's why labels aren't getting processed or whatever. So
yeah, that would totally make sense. For sure.
Okay.
Was that when OTLP metrics was declared stable?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, I have a feeling the AWS collector is still quite old, so that means the latest OTel metrics probably don't work with AWS collector.
Right.
Yeah,
You could always depend on the older version of metrics and see how it goes. You could bring in 1.2 of metrics and see if that works.
I guess it
I
might
mean,
work.
what could possibly go wrong?
Yeah.
Sorry for spamming chat with this, but this is like an example of what Nikita was talking about. So we've got nightly snapshots hooked up to upstream snapshots, and it works, and it automatically gets assigned to him, so he
Fails
notices.
every time.
Yeah,
Uh,
me-
Assign
me-
all of our nightly bugs to Nikita also.
yeah, that'd be awesome.
I have the same build on the AWS distro also, and I don't file issues because I know this would happen. Instead, I just see the GitHub Actions failure every day in my GitHub notifications.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's good, but yeah, we'll see how it backs up. If it gets egregious, I'm sure somebody will want to turn that knob back down.
Is this, but this is only one version of the build, right? You're not actually updating your code to use the snapshot?
No, we're not.
Yeah, so that means you're going to be stuck with this for
Yeah, can't
months
fix
at a time. Yeah, like that's what I'm seeing in the AWS. Like I did the same thing. So for the past 3 weeks, I get this failure notification every day from this build.
Yep.
Because unless you change the code, it's just going to stay failed. That's the
Totally. But
problem.
at least we know, like
Yeah.
this is the placeholder
Yeah.
that tells us
Yeah.
to go change the code. Yeah.
Yeah, but then yeah, I thought it was a good idea when I set up the build, and I was like, wait a second, I can't actually do anything because don't
Yeah.
change the code until upgrading. So yeah, so that, I have some experience with this. Not good experience.
And then we talked Java 16. How do we get there? Java 17 is going to be a big deal in a couple of months. We're going to get a lot of questions about it. And so seems like at minimum, and I'm not quite sure if Nikita volunteered to do this. He said that somebody at Splunk had tried to do this upgrade previously and didn't get very
Yeah.
far.
So that's the thing. Really, if the Spark to Groovy 3 is incompatible and requires lots of changes, I would very much rather take the time to migrate them to Java instead, because I don't think Spark to Groovy 3 is still going to solve any of the maintenance woes of these dynamic annoying tests. If there's no work, then of course it's fine. But if it's a migration anyways, I think we should migrate off of Groovy. Because I spend my time debugging really weird Groovy stuff all the time. It sucks.
There are like tens of thousands of lines of Spock tests though in the instrumentation repo.
And so that's
Yes.
like, if upgrading to Spark 2 also requires tens of thousands of lines of change,
Right.
then if it's only 1,000 lines of change, maybe it's for 100 or something. But
Right.
it
Yeah,
depends on how much work is that question.
Yeah,
Yep.
I
Yeah.
did look at they had an upgrade Spock 2.0 migration guide. The migration guide did not look that horrible, but then, who knows what that means. Like there was, some stuff, but it
That was my favorite thing there was the new meaning of greater than underscore or something like that. Like, oh no. Like that has no meaning to start with, let alone.
what?
Yeah,
Well, so every release you can give it a new meaning. That's the point.
yeah. How many
Yeah.
usages of greater than underscore are there in the project? Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure that evaluates to something. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Actually, to be honest, the reason I sent that PR to remove the thread details thing was so that I could try migrating a test to Java. That was the real motivation for that change.
I love there's always some real motivation for different things. Like, you see a PR, and I know I do it all the time too. It's like I have a real reason behind the PR that's just completely not obvious from the PR. It doesn't
Yep.
mean that the PR isn't, fine, but
Yep,
it's
exactly.
kind of like, well, why
Yeah.
did Task pick this one thing out of like a zillion of things to fix or do?
Yeah. Like I have my PR ready to merge master and send out the migrate to RMI test to Java. I'm not gonna push super hard on it, at least just to compare and see what people think. It's obviously more verbose, but if it gives us refactoring and the test run a bit faster, I personally might still prefer it. But of course, we need to see what other people think. It wasn't hard to do the migration.
Oh, it wasn't?
No.
Yeah, I'd love to see it.
Yeah.
I think we have at least 3 out of 4
Yeah.
maintainers who are open to. Well, we have 2. We have one that's pushing hard, one that's holding strong, and 2 that are open to move.
Yep.
So yeah, I think it, it depends on, I think the selling point will be how much work will
Yeah.
it be.
The reason I picked RMI specifically was because I noticed that the tests don't run on Java 16 at all, because we can't use the toolchain stuff there. Because for some reason the toolchain prevents accessing the com.sun classes.
Oh, okay.
And so at least there is a tangible benefit from that also. That's why I picked that
Nice.
one. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to get to our test to Java 17
Yep.
by the time that Java 17 is released.
Yep.
So, if we need to go and do a whole bunch of hacking on tests, I'm
So
good with
speaking of
that.
which, I guess SDK we should do it first. It should be easier.
You should go down 2 lines on the particular thing. I created an issue
Ah.
3361
Nice.
to do that.
I haven't. Do we still have reflective accesses when running our build? I don't remember, but
I have no idea.
yeah, if we do, we'll fix them. But it
I
shouldn't
think
be
every build I've seen in the last years has had that.
I know.
Yeah.
Java 7. That's the main thing, right? Java 17 blocks that completely. It's
Yep.
just impossible. Yep.
Uh-huh.
So we'll see what happens.
I think it's almost
Do you think
entirely
they'll-
just in tests right now. I don't think it's in any of the actual. I don't think that problem exists
Yep.
anywhere in our actual code. It's just
Yeah.
in tests.
Do you think
That's
Java will roll back the decision at the last minute, like unsafe?
Oh, geez. It wouldn't surprise me. It's going to break everybody completely everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So there's no hacky flag workaround in 17.
That's what they're deleting. Yeah.
So 16 added the hacky flag, and then they're taking
Well-
that away already.
I mean,
I haven't
Java 9 added the hacky flag, I think. And then, so technically it's been a while, and now they're gonna change that flag to be a no-op and just block by default is what I read from the JP.
So what happened in 16? Oh, we had to do, because we
In
got blocked.
16, not reflective access, they moved some of the com.sun classes out of the module or something.
Which I will say, we've been told not to use com.sun for like 20 years. So
Yeah.
anyone who's using com.sun and it got messed up by it, I mean, they dug their own grave a long, long time ago.
But yeah, I guess error-prone is still doing an illegal reflective access into com.sun.
Oh,
I
can we get rid of
wonder-
error prone? I hear Anurag saying we're going to get rid of error prone. I like this idea.
That's what I
know-
heard.
Do you have the setting in your repo to turn it off?
No, I want this though.
But locally? Oh man.
Sounds
We have-
great.
Yeah. I want
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Nikita complained, and I think Anurag added it in our repo. So like
Yeah.
in my Gradle.properties in my user home, I just keep it set and disable it.
Yeah, we can add that. I mean, so actually, I'm hoping that the end result of all this Kotlin stuff I've been doing lately is to publish the Java conventions. Like, there's some Gradle stuff that's common for all 3 of our
Oh, you
repos
could
now.
reuse. Ooh, that's
So-
cool.
That will be cool to do eventually, and then all of our repos will be doing the exact same thing. Like finally, now instrumentation repo is finally the same as SDK. I think almost all the like Kotlin build files and everything. It seems like we've caught up. So now is a good time to possibly share the code. That's good.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah, that was quite a Herculean effort, migrating all. We have so many Gradle files.
It was mostly regex stuff, so it wasn't too bad.
I mean, we will accept PRs in the Splunk repo for the same if you
Yeah,
you know get bored.
my going rate for Splunk is $1,000 per Kotlin migration.
Per Gradle, per build
Per-
Gradle.
Oh, build
Might-
Gradle.
Might actually be worth it.
Right.
It sounds like a pretty good rate, actually.
Yeah, I don't know. As long as it would take me, that would be like minimum wage. So I
Yeah,
don't-
exactly.
Yeah, I was just updating ours. I just pulled in all the latest stuff from that on our. Well, we have that. I have that fork, that horrible fork, and so I'm updating. But it forces me to actually like understand the stuff that I rubber stamped approved earlier.
Funny. Yeah. So is your
Well-
fork also all Kotlin now? Or you still have your own modules that aren't?
No, I just today was updating them to Kotlin.
Yeah. I'm surprised at how much better it feels. Like I didn't expect it to be that big of a difference, but after working on Groovy files for a while and then going back to Kotlin stuff, just having that completion.
Yeah, the completion and the control clicking into it
Yeah.
is really
Yeah.
nice.
yeah, for sure.
It does weaken your copy pasta ability from Stack Overflow, though, because there's less of it.
Ecosystem wise, it is.
That might be a benefit
minus.
too, though. I don't know. I feel like that might also be a benefit because it forces you to like do the right thing and just like figure it out.
Nah,
Yeah.
I disagree.
I have to drop off. I did put something else in the notes. It's not important. It was just an observation that like I think 3 or 4 times this week I've heard, and it's not even Java related, just people want to be able to turn a header into an attribute. It keeps coming up over and over. That's all. We don't have to talk about it.
Like an arbitrary header that's some custom thing for their
Yeah.
ecosystem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you've heard it too, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
PR as
If they
well.
want,
Yeah. I
you
mean,
think they
of
want
course.
configuration for it, or code would be okay.
They typically want a configuration setting to say
Yeah.
capture these headers and just throw them on attributes with the same name or whatever.
Yeah, I think there was speculation that you can do it in the collector, but I don't know if that's true. I don't.
But
Yeah.
the collector wouldn't have access to the request.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Derp. A good point. Yeah. Anyway, just an observation. So
Mhm.
I think we'll hear that come up at some point again.
We still need, I think, first
Path to base sampling is the
sample,
would
yeah,
be-
the health checks, sampling,
Sorry.
filtering out health checks.
I don't know if I
Yeah.
can approve a PR for the header stuff before that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's also legit. That keeps coming up too, for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
But now we're all gonna just point them at X-Ray and say, "Hey, go have an X-Ray account and just use it for dynamic sampling and keep sending all your backend data to Splunk or
It's
Azure."
so funny. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, someone would like that. Okay. I'm out.
It's not. It's free, so I don't know. It's. I don't know.
It's good publicity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Maybe.
All right, bye.
See
See you
you.
tomorrow, Jason. Hey, actually,
really-
Trask, I should tell you, Trask, that if you're interested, at 12:15 tomorrow, we're meeting at a taqueria on Northeast Cleveland. If you want to join us, say hi to Tyler, Jan, and me and Jason. So I know it's
tomorrow-
kind of the other side of the city for you, but
No, I would
anyway.
love to. I just need to make sure my calendar You said 12:15.
12:15. It's like at 48th and Northeast Gleason. It's
Alright.
some taqueria inside a little grocery store that we're going to try out.
I
So
need a name.
yeah, I can find it for you.
All right, cool. That would be fun.
It is called the Sahuai. I'll send it to you. I'll paste it in. I don't know how to pronounce it, so you probably won't be able to spell it. There you go. Sahuayo Taqueria.
Is there any train that connects Seattle and Portland that's fast?
Yeah, there's
The
an
post office?
Amtrak, but it's not
Yeah,
fast. It's
just an
really slow.
Amtrak.
4
Yeah.
hours.
Well, 4
Like,
hours
from-
if you don't get put onto a side thing by the freight
Yeah.
train.
Yeah, I
A-
don't
and
like. It might be unique to observability, but I feel as if a proper corridor between Seattle and Portland would have quite a bit of impact. Seem to be a lot
Yeah.
of people working together from those two cities.
Well, if you extended it down to San Francisco, I mean, there's been lots of talk about high-speed rail between Vancouver, BC, and San Francisco. It would be a fantastic corridor, like tech commuting option.
Hmm,
Anyway,
yeah. Hopefully Biden can chalk up to that a little bit.
yeah, sure. Anyway, yeah, 12:15 tomorrow. We're going to try to meet for try out this taqueria that none of us have ever been to. So, yeah, I just wanted to call out that my past 3-4 months of work, we finally had release 0.1 today. Got it publishing.
Ooh.
We definitely are interested in figuring out how to upstream our instrumentation to OpenTelemetry, but there's no specification or anything for this at the moment. So
I mean, you can dump it in Contrib.
yeah, right now things are very tied. Well, I guess there's some instrumentation parts that could be used by everybody. Wait, that doesn't say that's that's funny. You're looking at the you're looking at the README when that tag got done, but then I updated the README afterwards. So that's not actually not the latest README. So anyway, but yeah, and it basically just generates spans and sends them to via Zipkin at the moment, because that's what our RUM backend accepts.
Directly from the phone? Is it?
Yep, directly the phone generates the Zipkin. Yeah, we're just using the Zipkin exporter and sending it to whatever URL you send in there with the auth token. Which I suppose
see.
if you had a different backend that accepted Zipkin,
Okay.
you
Is there already a
could.
Splunk? Like, is there already a backend product with Splunk, or for now you're just prototyping?
We have so we're sending the data to the browser. We have a browser RUM product right now, and
Mhm.
they're currently working on we send the data to the same place. The UI is not ready for mobile, like it's still very browser centric, but they're working on that right now. In the back end, they still want to generate metrics that are mobile specific, and they don't have that done yet. But basically, this generates Zipkin spans at the moment.
Yeah. I see.
Yeah.
And so that's in the browser RUM isn't Zipkin spans, right? That's something else probably.
No, it is also Zipkin. Yes,
Oh, that's
our
also
browser RUM is all Zipkin. Yeah. Why? I think that when they started working on it, the OTLP in the browser was not ready for prime time, and the browser-based Zipkin was battle tested, and everyone knew was going to work really well. So
yeah,
very stable.
Now
Eventually,
Zipkin's-
our
now
back will switch over to OTLP, but right now it's just Zipkin.
Yeah, Zipkin is sort of a dead project now.
Anyway, so yeah, anyone I guess could use this, plug it into their app, and plug in the different backend. I mean, I've actually just sent it to a local Zipkin installation to, when I don't want to have to go and read stuff out of the UI and send it to our VPN, etc. So you can replace that beacon URL with anything you want, and it'll work just fine.
Zipkin
Yep.
ingestion endpoint.
Yep. I mean, the code will take that auth token and append an attribute. So as long as your backend doesn't have any problem with that, it will work just fine. It'll append a query parameter for the auth. When it goes, it does like question mark auth equals and then whatever the token is. But as long as your backend will accept it, then it works just fine.
And so
Anyway.
it's the Open Telemetry Zipkin exporter.
Yep. Yeah, this just uses the stock SDK. It doesn't do anything fancy. We mean there's a special appender, like a special spam processor that does a bunch of kind of probably Splunk RUM specific attributes. It also does things like, unfortunately, the Zipkin exporter doesn't take anything off the resource except the service name. So we have to put a bunch of resource stuff just directly onto the spans at the moment, which is one of the big limitations of Zipkin, unfortunately. And Zipkin also does not have a rich event or log or whatever it's called model. It just has a named thing. It doesn't have, like, you can't put the stack traces there. So we have to do the stack traces differently. And so there's a bunch of little workarounds to make the data flow through Zipkin at the moment.
Cool.
Yeah. Anyway, so I mean, it should be total. Like I said, it should be totally usable to send all this data to any arbitrary Zipkin backend without much effort.
Yeah, I've seen discussions, but it seems very early.
Yes. Yeah.
Client conventions.
Semantic conventions. Yeah.
Yeah. This was Evo's like wanting to start the discussion, and there's starting to be some stuff about like radio types and things like that, but none of it is really solidified yet.
Splunk, gotcha.
Yep. Yeah, he was a product manager at Plumber. So.
Oh, I've heard you all talk about Evo. Yeah.
Yep. He came along with Plumber. Anyway, so I just thought I would say it's really 100% using the OpenTelemetry APIs and SDK, which basically worked brilliantly with virtually no problems. You have to make sure that you compile the Java 8, and you have to make sure that you have the desugaring turned on, because otherwise there's stuff that won't work for Android 21 to 24 without desugaring.
Right.
But as long as you turn on the desugaring, it all just works great. So there's documentation to be written still, but yeah, it works. Does crash reporting. Everyone was very impressed that you could just add a unhandled exception, or whatever it's called, the thread uncaught exception handler. And I do a force flush I create a span that just has the stack trace in it, and force flush the SDK, and as far as I can tell, it always makes it out of the app before Android brings it down. Like I've never seen it not work, which is like on iOS, there's basically no way to do that at all. But on Android, it worked perfectly. So yeah, we actually had an internal demo where one of our internal, I think the people who run the SignalFX Android app were trying it out, or it wasn't a demo. It was like we were walking them through it, and their app, like the developer, it crashed while he was in the simulator, and we caught the crash, and it was reported correctly out of his test environment, which I was like, yes, it works. So that was pretty cool. That was exciting.
Have you tested? Do you have an old phone on you to test with?
No, I've been just using the simulator.
Yeah.
I have my Pixel 3. I mean, it's a couple years old, but it's still running the latest release. So I tested on some in the simulator. You can run this little Android API level 22 flip phone, I think. It's like this teeny tiny little thing. And the little sample app that's in that repo doesn't even render correctly because the screen is too tiny, but it still works. So that was good. Anyway, it's been a fun project. I've learned a huge amount about Android.
I'm sure.
We didn't have to
Yeah,
have
we
an
didn't.
Android specific SDK or anything like that.
Or,
Well, we
or
did. I
Android
mean, we
X.
did have
The
that
ID generator.
the ID generator.
Uh,
I thought there was one other thing that I put in. I thought I put in some other Android specific hack a couple months ago that fell out of this. I don't remember what it was though. Oh no, there was something. Or maybe it was just the ID. Maybe I'm just thinking of the ID. Oh, the secure, the random thread
The
local one.
random, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So anyway,
Was the
take a look.
experience with the simulator pretty good?
No, it's horrible. It's absolutely terrible. I mean, the big problem is if you let it run for a while, and I've only run on the Mac. I don't know how if it works on other platforms, but if you let it run for a while, eventually your app may work, but the actual OS stops doing network connectivity for some reason. Like just the network dies, and then nothing works, and you can't. The UI not of your app, but the UI of the actual operating system becomes unresponsive, and it's a big mess. And this week, the simulator crashes every time I start it up now. I don't know what happened, but I can't run it at all at the moment. So I may have to reinstall the SDK from scratch. I'm not really sure. But I will say this is the big thing in this past week I've spent just trying to get publishing to Maven Central to work. All of the convenience Gradle plugins do not work with the Android library plugin. Like the Android library plugin has a bunch of opinions that break all. Like the Nexus publishing plugin doesn't work. The what's that? The one from Netflix, the Nebula plugin doesn't work. Like basically, and there's even a standard, like not standard, but there's a Gradle plugin from this guy called Vanik Tech that does all the publishing and stuff, but it doesn't work with standard signing. Like you can't get it. I don't know. Anyway, it's been a huge mess. We basically, Jason and I had to go down to the very ground level Gradle, the Maven published in the signing plugin, and do everything by hand to get it to actually publish to Maven Central. It was really painful.
Did you look at OKHTTP's repo? They might have some patterns there.
I haven't. Do they?
Oh no,
think,
but they're not Android. Never mind. Sorry, they're not an Android app. They're just a library. Yeah.
Well, right, because this thing isn't publishing an app, it is publishing a
Yeah.
library, which an Android library is a different structure. It's a .aar and not a jar.
Right.
And I don't think OK publishes an AAR.
No.
But we wanted to publish an AAR because we actually want to put the permissions that you're going to need into the library manifest, which like you're going to need to have network permission in order to use this. Right? So yeah, there's some stuff like that you want to put into your Android archive manifest in order so that the application will get it and know that it also has to have it.
Yeah.
And there's also getting like a version number into an Android archive was super painful. Like it's crazy Android resources rather than standard anything. Anyway, no, it's been an adventure. The build has been more of an adventure than the instrumentation for sure. So anyway, I hate Gradle. I hate all build systems. They're all terrible. They can all die in a fire. We should all just write in Go or Swift where you just pull in repo and you're done. Anyway, all right. Well, I should probably take off, but I kind of just wanted to talk about that a little bit. So
cool. All right. Have a good one.
Yeah, hopefully see you tomorrow, Trask. That'd be great.
Yeah. I'll ping you tomorrow morning just to confirm whether I'm gonna make it or not.
Cool. Sounds good.
All right.
Bye.
See you.
Yeah. Man, so jealous.
Yeah, this is the first time I'll see anybody like in forever. Is this passing? Ooh, will you approve this for me?
But Matthias forget.
a little wonky.
I was hoping someone else would say it's wonky and then I wouldn't have to approve, but oh.
Yeah, splitting out. Oh God, because OpenJDK, adopt OpenJDK doesn't have uh, images for 16, which I think is really weird. But OpenJDK this is the official like Docker hub or Docker maintained version. And they have they also have 17 early access releases. So I have a feeling this might be the better one to go with in the future. The only downside is they don't have OpenJ9 images, which Adopt has. So that's why I had to split out and have one set with Hotspot and one set with OpenJ9.
Yeah. Wait, but this specifically the Tomcat images, right? Or,
Yeah, so
no.
the way that the Tomcat images are from real, I've learned all about this the last day. So the Linux Tomcat images are from real Docker Hub Tomcat images. The Windows ones, Tomcat doesn't publish Windows ones.
So we build.
So we build it we merge, we curl the Tomcat image, we start from a Windows base image, and then we pull in Adopt or OpenJDK.
Yep.
Oh, and now it's failing. Refresh.
The longest standing bug in GitHub. Maybe it's just intentionally left there now just because people had misbehavior.
Right. What would we do if it just worked normal? Okay, I don't think there's really, I have some abandoned PRs I should revisit. This is the one I'm going to review.
Oh, this one. Okay. Not the one 3454.
Right. No, this is the one that does the attribute parameter.
This one's updated now.
Yeah, Mateusz reviewed it. He just asked for a second because he said it was pretty complex for just adding yeah, so if you're interested in looking at it, I'm happy to go for it. He said there was a lot of interesting generic stuff. I think the generic sort of, he did some stuff around Java Reflective, like the type token, or no.
Yeah.
Something.
This stuff is a bit easier if you're using Guava.
What does Guava do to make it easier?
I mean, I don't know specifically here, but Guava does have that reflect package, which a lot of type token related utilities. So I've used them for some madness many years ago, but if that wasn't there, I remember it probably would have been quite a bit harder.
So might be what's it's for discovering the parameter type, the real type parameter. Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. At some point, I actually understood that stuff.
I only understood it enough
it's
to do type token.
Yeah, no, you can make type tokens work somehow, which is weird. Like, it's not supposed to work. It's supposed to just all be erased or something, but somehow. Yeah. Yeah, I'll probably give this a skimp, but since you already promised, I won't promise.
Cool. I promised by Monday, so if you don't review it in the next day or two, I will review it for sure. Yeah, that's about it. Can we get to the bottom of extension? Oh yeah, Nikita brought up the API stability. And so we were kind of talking about what we can do to, oh, I have an action item here. Mateusz mentioned that the extension API stuff, he's pretty much done with the changes he wanted to make. So he said that was in pretty good shape. The other two, of course, are not. And so, didn't I write an action item for myself here? No. Okay. I will. To open a tracking issue where we can like track packages or classes that we think are stable. Not with any, there won't be any guarantee, but at least it would be a way for us to say, to track progress and know where to focus on next. Initially, he was asking if we could make some kind of promise or make one of them, the extension API, stable, but I asked if there was any real purpose to making, does it really help him if this is stable, but this and this are not stable? And he was like, no, not really. So yeah. And then we pointed John to the new HTTP attribute extractors for content length. Oh yes, I saw you were having some discussions about instrumentation API is continuing.
Yeah. So finally people joined, like John's prodding work this week. So talked with Ted and Josh JMac about the API. Got some good feedback, and I think everyone's sort of on the same page, and that we do need these features. And so I'm probably going to change the doc to be a bit less about code and more about just the concepts.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
Cool.
Because even just like one small example I didn't add yet, which I will add, but like even just having to map HTTP status codes to the status code of OTel. There's so many concepts we have that instrumentation objects do not have to write every single time. So I'm pretty sure everyone's going to get on the same page that something is necessary to manage the semantic conventions.
Now, did you talk about that in the spec meeting this week?
Yeah.
Cool. So are people joining? You're getting some people joining the
it looks like Ted is finally committed to joining. He even so because of this instrumentation stuff, he even switched it from bi-weekly to weekly.
Oh,
we'll probably be chatting every week.
Yeah. That one's yeah, I should put that one on my calendar because I wouldn't mind hearing about instrumentation API.
Yeah.
I don't care about a lot of the spec stuff, but that's sort of the.
I mean, that meeting is just talk to me about stuff. That's the only point of the meeting. So
the current topic on your mind.
Yeah, okay. The current topic is instrumentation API. Even though the title is spec, but it's really one-on-one with me, office hours with me. Yep.
Cool. Anything else on your mind?
No. I forgot to share that I think my next, now that I finally finished this Kotlin stuff, which no one really needed to do, but I felt like doing it. So going to get back to library implementations. So I started Apache HTTP client yesterday. Hopefully wrap that up
Oh,
soon. And then,
okay.
yeah, because we're talking more with internal customers at Amazon using OpenTelemetry, and so hearing the frameworks they use, one of the most Apache. It's like, yeah, obviously that's a very popular one, so it's time to knock that out. And then,
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's great with I was really happy about the JDBC.
Yep.
And that's a
But
big
I mean, yeah. Ironically, Amazon doesn't use MySQL that much.
yeah,
DynamoDB is more popular, so AWS SDK tends to cover a lot. Yeah.
right.
But
Oh,
Apache
that's
is
true.
also,
Yeah, you already have that covered.
yeah, Apache is sort of common for inter-service communication.
Interesting. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's it's very old school.
Yeah, I mean, not for newer code. For the older code, it's common. Yeah.
It's held up well.
I don't know. I actually haven't looked at it. I don't know what changed at HTTP client 5 for.
Ah,
I never liked 4 much. I mean, I
I like
I mean,
everything except I like everything in comparison to
no,
HTTP URL
not. I
connection.
don't know if
That's
that's
my
fair. Like,
baseline.
so HTTP client made the mistake of breaking changes in their 4x release. So that's why I hate it. And I remember.
Ah,
Yes, I've had to deal with that a
oh,
few
they
times.
do. Yeah, in minor release. I mean, in minor
Yeah,
releases,
yeah.
right? Yeah,
So
yeah,
they
yeah.
made that. What's it called? The grave mistake, or what, the thing you're not supposed to do. OKHTTP hasn't ever made breaking changes really, so OKHTTP is definitely a good one. Apache does not fall on my good list. Okay, so see you around.
Yeah. Cool. All right. See you.
Easy.